Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm so excited for season 2 and the great guests you're going to hear from, their struggles, how they overcame their struggles, their triumphs. Through personal and business life, I think they're tied together, and we're going to share great stories about that. This show isn't just about me. It takes a lot of good people working with me. Among them is my partner, H7 Network, and Clay Hicks. Building relationships, building community is the mission of H7 Network. They want to create a network of champions where everybody wins. Find out more at h7network.com. And we hope to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you through our show. Enjoy the show. We'll talk to you on the other side. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is going to be an incredible episode because some of you may know, some not. I'm a big athletics guy. I was part of a health club for 22 years, and my next guest is really doing great servant things with athletes. And you're going to be excited to hear from Dr. Laura. Dr. Laura, welcome to the show. Can I call you Dr. Laura, or do you want to go Laurel?
Either one is fine.
Okay, I love that. Well, welcome to the show.
It up. Let it be fun.
Let's do it. I love it.
Yeah.
So why athletics? Why athletes?
Well, I was an athlete when I was growing up, and I was a pretty good athlete. I played varsity tennis, and I was on a competitive cheerleading team where we went on to win a national championship in cheerleading. And in my adult years, I traded in my pom-poms for the more extreme sports like mountain biking, snowboarding, and kite surfing. And being a physical therapist, it's a perfect combo.
You a physical therapist yourself? Probably at times.
Sometimes, yes. I actually separated my AC joint in my shoulder. And yeah, I was able to rehab that myself. And that was very painful, but luckily I didn't need surgery, and 100%.
Congratulations on your success. It's fantastic. Now, I don't care what sport, because cheerleading is a sport. You won a national championship. That's powerful. Has all your sports experience helped you what you're doing today?
It really has. Yeah. And not just the sports experience, but I also, the experience that I did the work on myself, my inner work that I've done has made a huge difference in how I can help other people.
How important is that inner work for an athlete? High school, college, pro?
Yeah, so it's huge. So I call it a champion mindset. And whenever I was doing sports in high school, I did not have a champion mindset at all. I was not born with this champion mindset. I walked on a team that was a national champ team, and they raised me up. I didn't need to raise them up. And, I got lucky, but in life, we don't always walk out onto that championship team. And, in business, we're not always on that championship team. And sometimes we have to lead that. And it takes a different mindset to lead someone to a champion mindset than to step out into the space where there's already a champion mindset, where people are really contributing to you and pulling you along, versus you really have to take the bar up to the next level to bring them along.
And the champion mindset for the audience would be the Kobe example, Kobe Bryant, where he'd get up an hour earlier than everybody else, train late, practice later. That's some of the things. What's other things that make a great champion?
Yeah, so a champion mindset is going into your sport or your life or your business with the championship in mind. Like, you go out there and say you want to win the NBA championship, the World Series, the Stanley Cup. Like, you walk out onto the field with that goal in mind, and you play harder and you play longer and you play bigger and you train harder than if you're just out there for fun, right? So there's no specific championship in your life or in your business, but you actually have to create that for yourself. What does a championship look like in my business? Does it look like this many clients? Does it look like this many million viewers on my social media? Does it look like this much money in my bank account? Does it look like this impact in the world that I'm trying to make? But you got to create that.
Yeah. And this is doing business with a servant's heart, but an athlete is really a business. I know at the pro level it is, you know, Kobe, but all those guys have trainers. But even at the high school and college level, if they want to get to that top level, they're really running a business of themselves. It's just not about money. It's more about training, right?
Well, what I like to do is I like to take the champion mindset and what we learn from sports and put it into our business versus the other way around.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it is their business, it is their life, it is their livelihood, right? Just like our business is sometimes our life. It's totally my life, my livelihood. So I think there's so much we can bring to sports in our lives, in our businesses.
Yeah.
The reason why, the number one reason why, is it's so relatable. It's so relatable to talk about this champion mindset and what it looks like in your business. And so that's why I love to bring the sports to the business world.
Crossover. You do a cool crossover. Well, let's talk about business, because this is doing business with the servant's heart. How do you work with the business, and what do you do to develop that championship mindset?
Well, like I said, it comes with a championship goal, right?
Okay.
And then it also, like, when you have the championship goal, it doesn't mean that you're going to win the championship tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You actually have to train. So in your business, you have to train. And there's different skills that you need to train, not just one, not just the other. There's accounting, and there's marketing, and there's social media, and there's advertising. And that's just a few of the many skills that you could have as a business owner or entrepreneur, right? So you have to go out and train, but you don't only train. You don't just train. You actually have to get out and play. So in your business, you actually have to get out on the court and you have to play. You can't just stay in the training room. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners do. They just want to train, play safe, make sure everything's perfect before they actually get out there. But you have to get out on the court. You have to get out and play the game. And then you have to deal with what happens, right?
Right.
You're going to win sometimes and you're going to lose sometimes. And then you're going to have to deal with that failure. And the way you deal with that failure can make you successful. Like it can make a champion or make a loser, right? In sports and in your business.
How important is a coach to a business then?
I'm glad you asked, because, that's another thing. Like, athletes have coaches. And just like if you're a parent to a child, like, you're not everything to that child. Like, you're not their teacher and their coach and their parent and their doctor and their dentist and whatever else, right? And so, like, coaches are the same in sports. Like, they're not everything to the player. So I actually work with coaches. I let coaches train the skill and the strategy. They do some physical performance, but I train the physical performance and the mental performance. And so relying on a coach to teach you everything is not really reasonable, right? And if you want to be a championship, sometimes you don't just have one coach, but you have a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
And the mental performance is the most undertrained and underdeveloped skill that you have in sports and also in business. So in business, like, it is important to have a coach when you need one. And it's also important to have maybe different coaches or different accesses of support. And you can't just rely on, one person to be everything. And you can't just, rely on your spouse to be everything or your friends to be everything in your business. You have to kind of spread the love a little bit too.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. And community is so important. That's what you're talking about, a community of like-minded people. Coaching mindset is just such a powerful word. How important is it?
It's so important. It's the most important thing. I like to relate it to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 mindset in your sport, in your life, in your business is about 80%. The rest is 20%. But the value is when you actually train mindset, you spend 20% training mindset, it can make an 80% difference. So it can make a huge difference. And I train myself. I train myself in a champion mindset every day that I wake up in my business.
Amen.
And I go through the exact tools that I'm teaching my athletes. I do that for myself in my business pretty much every day, or at least tap into the tools I need to at the time. And I also have coaches and support in my business as well.
And so what I'm hearing from you, mindset is a skill that can be learned through a coach. Can anybody learn a better mindset? A more clearer mindset?
I'm sorry, say that question one more time.
Can anybody get better in their mindset? Can they grow with their mindset? Because some people go, I don't know if I can do that. It's a skill, right?
Absolutely. So I'll give you an example. I just got done taking a 10-year-old gymnast through my 6-week mindset program. And she did amazing. And it really changed the trajectory of her life, right? To gain these skills at 10 years old. Like you can't get a better gift. You can't give your child a better gift than that, right? And at the end of our training, I communicated with her parents like, hey, look, these are tools, these are skills, and, it takes training and development, and we're never going to reach perfection. And so that's not really the goal. It's going to be because life is happening at you. Life is coming at you every day. So you have these tools, but it's to use in life, and then you have to develop them in life. So I said, you really have to celebrate the positive changes that you do see in her, but you have to understand that, it's not going to be perfection, and don't expect her to come out of this training perfect. And if there is an opportunity, just present her like, hey, are there any tools from that program that you took that you can put into this situation, in your sport or in your life? So it is a skill that you can develop, and it gets better over time, but it's never going to be perfect. But it can change the trajectory of your life.
You said perfect, I think 3 times. And I love it because people get to that mindset. Let's say their goal is $1 million a year. Let's just use that. And it's like they stop. But mindset's ongoing. Until you die, you need to be working on it. You're going to be working. I know I'm going to be working on it. That's so cool. I love how you put that. I'm getting fired up here. This is really cool because to do a 10-year-old, that's a tough mindset to work with because it's still being, it's just, they're all over the place. They're 10-year-old. They're still learning life. How much is decision-making part of mindset?
Yeah. So it's interesting what you're reacting to versus what you're actually deciding on. And we have to get out of that reaction and letting life, like our reaction to life, make our decisions. And we need to actually generate our decisions from within. And that's also what I coach, especially my young athletes in. Like, you need to generate this decision, this choice, and this option for yourself. You need to choose. And then you actually have to deal with the reality of what happened from that choice or that decision.
Right.
And that's another powerful tool because people get so undecided. I don't know if I should do this or that or whatever. And then they make a choice, and then they're still in the past. Like, oh, did I make the wrong choice or the right choice? Or what would this look like versus what would that look like? And instead it's like, make a choice from you generating the choice. And then you actually deal powerfully with whatever that choice led to, whether it's good or bad, you're actually dealing with it.
I like that. I've heard decision-making talked a lot, not in that respect, because that's practical for people to do. You work with businesses, right? Am I correct?
Sometimes, yeah. I mostly work with athletes, but sometimes people do come to me for some support, the champion mindset around their businesses. So I am coaching some businesses.
How important is for you to work? Let's use the 10-year-old that you were talking about, working with the parents, because you just don't work with the 10-year-old, you work with the parents as well.
Yeah, so I can train the athlete and the parent. I do it separately.
Yeah.
And then, the kid has the tool, and then the parent kind of becomes the coach, right? And they speak the same language. But not everyone wants to invest in both. And I
Yeah.
get that. So, what I tell the parents that don't do the training with me, like, you don't speak the language, you don't have these tools, so you can't really coach your child, but you can just presence them, like I said earlier, like, hey, do you have any tools that you can use in this situation? And yeah, you're empowering the kid, it's fine. You just don't have the language and the knowledge around this stuff to actually coach them. But when you do coaching for both the child and the parent, it just fuels the fire for success.
Sounds like it's more ideal. If you can, and you're a servant,
Mhm.
you're not going to make somebody go, hey, I'm not going to work with your child if I don't work with the parent. Let them make the decision. But ideally, I want to work with both entities so we're all talking the same language. And I want that out there for the people to hear.
Yeah. So, as a healthcare provider, as a physical therapist, like, I'm here to empower people's health and educate them. And I am serving my community, and I am standing for the health and wellness of myself, my community, my clients. And so, if someone chooses to work with another provider or get support somewhere else, like, I don't mind. I'm not offended. Like, I want them to get support. I'd rather have them get support from someone else than not get support at all, right? And
Yeah.
that's also how I relate to my competition, as a team and not as competing. Like, how can we serve, our community together, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, we can serve our community together better and
Yeah.
more. And when we actually work with our competition like this, and when my competition is busier, that means I'm going to be busier because they're not going to be able to handle all the clients. But if we're educating, our clients on who we are and our community on who we are and what we're doing, then we're going to get busier together.
Yeah. Do you work virtually? Can you work with anybody in the country? Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, so I do also virtual and in-person
Hmm.
stuff. I'm licensed for physical therapy in the state of California right now only. So if it's physical therapy, I only do it in California. I do it
Hmm.
in person. I'm in the Bay Area. And then I do some physical therapy online too,
Oh,
again, for
okay.
people in California. But I do sports or mental performance coaching online. And I also do some athletic performance screenings, and I can do those in person or online. So there's some options.
I love that because I really want to get you out in audience. That's why I asked that question. I want them to reach out to you. With that being said, can you give me some contact information they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find me at my website. The website is bit.ly/capital B, capital L, athlete, ATHLETE. You can also find me on Instagram at DRLAURELPT. You can also give me a ring on my business line or even a text at 650-733-4501.
And I'll be in the show notes too, so they'll be able to get a hold of you. Because of my love for athletics and sports, and I'm really loving what you're doing. Can I do something crazy?
Yeah, you sure can.
So
Because it takes crazy in sports sometimes.
yeah, and that's why I'm probably pretty good at it. I'm going to give out 2 gifts to the first 2 people that reach out to you from this show. So when you reach
Awesome.
out to Dr. Laurel, mention the show or my name, I'm going to ship you out guys a gift. It's going to be a cool little gift. But I want you to reach out because she's doing good things. I've just met her before this show, but going through this mindset thing is a game changer in anything in life. From relationships, sports, business, doesn't matter. So you need to reach out to her. And do you do discovery calls? Can somebody reach out and learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah, give me a call, text, whatever. Yeah, we'll set up a call and we'll spend some time together, and I'll share with you if I can help you, or I can point you to some support if you need it. I have a really big community of support in so many aspects, if it's your business, your health, your life, whatever.
Besides mindset, what's one other skill that people are really, when they come to you, are really lacking in? Tough question, I know, but
Well, there's a few different angles I feel like I
okay.
could take this question.
Okay.
That's why
Yeah,
I'm
go both ways. Go for it.
But okay. So one way, as far as athletes go, a lot of athletes overtrain skill and strength. And the thing that they're undertraining the most is the mental performance. And then the physical aspect is power, generating power and generating power in different ways and different muscles. So a lot of times people confuse power training they confuse strength training and agility training with power training, which it's not. So a lot of the athletes are losing, they're leaving skill on the sidelines because they're lacking power. The other angle I would say is that put a health what is it called, PSA, public service announcement out there for your health. Our bodies are made up of 364 joints, and joints mean movement. So we have to keep our bodies moving. So motion is lotion. So whatever that looks like to you, we're so stuck in front of our computers and our tablets and our phones. Like, get up and move your body, move every day, and keep your body moving. That's life.
Amen. God bless you said that. I like the motion. Would say that again?
Motion is the lotion.
I love that, because you're saying lotion, lubing the joints.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, audience, you heard it here first. Motion is the lotion. I love that. Oh, that's fantastic. We're getting to the end here. Man, I wish I had you when I was in sports. I'd have been much better. I just know, just listening to you, because I'm 61, so it was much different. But mindset's no different when I was 20 or 15 or 18 than it is today, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had myself whenever I was an athlete growing up. Yeah, and in life, like, there were things I discovered about myself, a few years ago that I wish I had discovered when I was 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever.
You're absolutely amazing. You really are, Dr. Laura. I want to thank you for being on the show. I've learned so much. I know the audience has, and it's been a pleasure. I got to have you back because there's more we need to talk about. You willing to come back?
Yeah, I'm willing to come back, Steve. It's a pleasure to be in this conversation with you today.
This has been great. Can I ask one more favor?
Yeah.
Can you leave my audience a piece of advice that's helped you through these years that can help them?
Yeah. So I just want you to know that who you are matters, and what you're up to in the world matters too. So, and no one's going to know about that unless you tell. And if you don't tell, and if you don't share yourself with other people, and that's what you're talking about, this servant's heart. Like you matter. What you're doing in your business impacts other people, and you have to get out there. And it is a long game, and you have to stay in the game so that you're making the impact on the world that you're setting out to make.